Actually, I've modified a little bit for the chapter, so if you have the update one, then it'll be exactly the same one you see from the screen. Okay, chapter 3, actually, I think I need to use the microphone in order to make the report. Too late. Next session. Okay, chapter 3 is about adjusting account. Adjust, this word, 调整. Okay, yeah, then you can see easily from the definition from Chinese. Okay, why do we need to adjust account? Make it for real. Okay, so for example, before we have, you pay something for the whole semester. Okay, then we debit. You pay, for example, $10,000 for the whole, you spend out, let me see, 100,000. Will that be a little bit too much? Okay. $10,000 for the prepaid rent, remember? So we have an account called prepaid rent for $10,000. That's the original entry you made before when you started renting for something. Okay? So the prepaid, even you pay out cash, but it's still your assets. Okay? And you decrease the asset with the cash. But later on, months after months, how do you know what happened to this $10,000? For example, 5 months, each month will be cost $2,000. So gradually, your right to stay in your dormitory, your right is decreasing. 你住宿舍的权利会越来越少。Then how do you express that the right is decreasing? So every month after month, at the end of month, we have to deduct $2,000 for 1 month's rent. How do you make it deduct? You make it debit to credit. So we have another entry called prepaid rent for $2,000 because you have already lived there and your rights. How do you know your rights is decreasing? We have T account. We have prepaid rent. So whenever you have entry, you have to do posting to your individual account. Okay, so this is originally $10,000. So after you have another entry, go to the credit, 2,000. So your balance goes to 8,000. So what happened to debit? All the entry has come with both debit and credit. Because the one you use for $2,000, they transfer to rent expense, $2,000. Okay? So when we do the posting here again, so after here, the posting will be like this. Cash decrease 1,000. I believe there's some number here. And after here, you have another posting to the rent expense for $2,000. So this one, we update your current right from 10,000 to 8,000. You are updating to the current right after the time you go through. Okay? So which means what you are doing now. Because I need to charge this. Actually, this is we call adjusting. Adjust the original one after the adjusting entry, then go to the updated one. The updated balance. So adjusting is very important. Adjusting entry is very important. So chapter 3 is about adjusting the account to its most updated the balance. Okay, so this is the one we are focusing to for chapter 3. So, but actually the premise 前提是 you have to know your regular entry well based on your midterm performance. Okay, by the way, the highest one is 竹轩 she got 95. 宣竹 okay, anyway, so I think she's very qualified to be a for accounting teacher. And then next one I think is 知怡 80 something.
110她高我1分。
Oh yeah. Anyway, the highest 95, then the rest of the second level is about 80 something. So we have several students here doing good. So any question you have, you can discuss with them. Okay, based on midterm exam, I don't feel that most of you are still very confident in doing the entry. 我觉得你们在期中考看起来，你们的写分录的实力信心还是不是 good enough. So starting from chapter 3, I still will help reviewing the regular daily entry, then add up to the end of the adjusting entry. Okay, when you do it again, I think gradually you should be okay for accounting the basic entry, the question. Okay, why we need to do the accounting, the adjusting? Because in chapter 1, we already introduced for accounting, we are not using cash basis. We are using this word, accrual. Accrual. A-C-C-R-U-A-L. Then Chinese is 应计制或是权责制. Okay, because all the accounting are using the accrual basis instead of cash basis. Okay, so you have to get used to it. So how do you can feel like you are doing can accept the accrual basis? Because the accrual basis actually is indicating the reality. 它所要讲是事实 ，OK， 所以不是只是个现金的表象。所以请特别注意，我们的 accounting system is accrual basis, accrual, OK, accrual basis. 那 accrual basis， 因为是because of the accrual basis, so you need to adjust something, not use the cash concept. And so if we are using the accrual basis, then how do you, or I should say, when you are going to recognize the revenue and the expenses, then that's very important and that's very key issue. Okay, you need to know what the timing to recognize the revenue and the expenses. Okay, so here for accounting, middle column, for adjusting accounts, we have learned prepaid items, prepaid expense, and we also learn about unearned revenues. Okay, let me ask. Okay, Wang Zhenyu, can you tell me that prepaid expense is an asset or liability?
It's assets.
Assets. We just mentioned here. Okay, prepaid, even though you pay out cash, but you own the rights. Rights is the very important factor of assets. Okay? 来，后面的两个其实上课都还蛮认真，你们只是你们叫什么？你们两位什么名字啊？ 右边那个是叫什么？这样比较好。
林轩宇
啊？
林轩宇，好，
哪一位？那么小声。
林轩宇，
林
对，
林
对，
林轩宇。
哎，
哦，OK，我以为林轩宇是女生呢。OK，
我记得是吧
那这位呢？
张文旭，
哦，张文宪呀，张文宪。张文宪好像刚开始时候比较出息，后来就变得比较好。
对，
OK，那张文宪还不错，后来现在最近出席都还有考到几个期中考。OK， 那林轩宇就稍微差一点点，but it's OK。OK，so 那林轩宇 ，Could you tell me the unearned revenue should belong to assets or liability? Unearned, this one. Unearned revenue 预收收益。Do you think it goes to assets or liability? Very good. Okay, so these two we've been learning, for 2 chapters. But we have another several things, accrued expense or accrued revenue. What does that mean? Accrued expense means something payable. Account payable, notes payable, or tax payable, something like that, we call that accrued expenses, okay? And if you are saying accrued revenue, then we will say accounts receivable, notes receivable, or some receivable, okay? 就是应收账款，就叫 accrued revenue 哈。慢慢应收 accrued， 你可以把它翻成应计应收的概念。如果你用全责字比较难念 ，OK？ 但是不晓得为什么中文要翻成，但是我们大部分喜欢用应计制来用，比较听得懂。应收应付，所以应收应付就是 accrual basis，OK？ 就是这个字 ，OK？So this is the one. Then finally, after we also have been making the trial balance, actually in chapter 2, because time is so squeezy to rush. So for the TB, we didn't explain too much. Then this is the time. Again, then we'll do something about adjusted trial balance. Okay, TB 试算表. Okay, so this is the outline for chapter 3. Okay, so the problem is, okay, you just mentioned that we're using accrual basis. So, and then also we need to make a financial statement, okay, 财务报表. But problem is, financial statement, normally the concept should be, the length should be 12 months. But based on our regular concept, because we every day using the calendar, so the calendar year start from, okay, January 1st, go to the end of December 31st, okay? 我们的历年制就1月1号到12月31号. But for financial statement, if you wait for the whole year, that would be too long to get to the information. So actually, most of the company, actually the list, especially the listed company, they are required to upload the monthly report. 好，每个月报表. So that's why for accounting period, we can cut the 12 months to just 1 month. We call that monthly report. Or we can say that 3 months, we say that quarter. Quarter means 1/4 of the year. 1/4叫 quarter, okay, which means 3 months. So no one will say 3 months financial statement, 3月报表. 我们通常 prefer to say quarter report, quarterly report, 季报表, quarter, okay? Or you can say 6 months interval, 6 months, but actually we prefer to say semi-annual, 半年报表. This is for 6 months, okay? Semi-annual. Annual 是指的是1年1年, but if you semi cut half, so that's 半年报表, okay, or a year, okay? So we can cut the time period to more short terms, okay? You can say it again. You can be a monthly report, you can be quarterly report, or you can be semi-annually report or yearly report, okay? But another issue is, they all have to be do they all have to be starting from January 1st to December 31? Okay, the answer is not necessary. For example, for the Taiwan's education system, academic system, our academic year, 我们的学年度, like this is the first semester, so that's why the first day of the academic year is starting from August 1st. 8月1号, 7月1号, 7月1号, July 1st is the first day of the academic year. Then ended at the end of the June, 6月结底, okay? So you see, it's different from the regular calendar year. And also, some company, based on their operations, the busy season. For example, some company are running for the summer products, okay? Then some company are running for the winter products, okay? Like recently in the United States, it's a hot shopping season because starting from this Thursday is Thanksgiving, okay? And Thanksgiving and the Christmas normally are the very big holidays for all the Americans. So if you go everywhere, like next week, this Friday, Black Friday, last Friday of the November, every time crazy going in to get cut, very, very low price, okay? We call that Black Friday. But in Taiwan, maybe you go to Costco or some other store, American store, then they also have the Black Friday sale, 黑色星期五的 once a year, okay? So if you don't grab the opportunity, probably next day you see nothing on the floor. It's very common in the United States that everybody is doing the shopping at a time. And so starting from this Thursday, actually it's already started, and going to the end of January, then the hot season, shopping season will be the end, okay? In that case, some department store, they're using the operating cycle starting from the lowest day to the highest day. So some company, the first day of their accounting period is February 1st, 2月1号, 百货公司1月1号, maybe March 1st, not the February 1st. Do you know why? Because in the United States, they are so generous. I mean, people like to send a gift or exchange gift with their family, send gifts. So, but most of the time, when you receive the gift from whoever, then probably, unless they are cash, then probably you are not satisfied with the gift that your friends gave to me. So in that case, normally it doesn't matter that you need a receipt. So after you receive the gift, and after a couple days, you can go to anywhere they sell the item, then return back to get the cash back. Okay, 在美国，退货 sales return is so common, and they won't even check the reason and what is there any defect. You just tell them I don't like it. That's all. Okay, so for no reason, the cashier or the salespeople will ask you. You just return and get cash. That is a very common thing. So most of the time, after the shopping season, the store are still so busy, but there are long line waiting for the sales return. 货品退货地方是一大堆厂牌都在退货。Okay, so which means their selling hot season might be the end of the February, after January or middle of February. So their accounting period will start from March 1st. Okay, so what I'm saying, so many examples here is that it's not necessary, the accounting period has to be the same as the calendar year. 不必要跟我们的1年制1月1号开始。So, for that purpose, we call for the annual financial statement, we call this the financial year, or another term you will see later, fiscal year. So if I'm asking you financial year or fiscal year for certain companies, you have to check it out and give the answer. You cannot say directly, of course from January 1st to December 31. No, not really. Okay. In Taiwan, I will say above 90 or even close to 100%, people are preferring using the calendar year as a financial year or fiscal year. But in the United States or other country, depends, the company's operating cycle. Then they will choose a different, period, the month, the date for their financial year. Okay. So another term you have to know, as long as you see interim financial statement, that means 其中 middle of the year, okay? Interim year can be a month, can be quarter, can be, 6 months, okay? So different terminology to express the length of the day, okay? So we have quarterly, we have monthly, okay, and annually, okay? This is the length. So we just mentioned we have a financial year. Actually, another word is fiscal year. Okay, so remember, fiscal year means that the real starting date or the end of the day. But the most important thing, no matter you're using the calendar year or fiscal year, they have to be for the consecutive. Consecutive means continuously 12 months, or some people will say 52 weeks, 52个礼拜或1年. So this is an important concept. Fiscal year is not necessarily equal to calendar year. Okay, they may be different. For here is an example, everybody knows Facebook. Okay, they are using calendar year, but for Singapore Airline, I think it's very famous. I like to take the Singapore Airline. I think the condition of the airplane is good, and the service is good too, and the food is good, and then they have lots of game to play on, when you're on the traveling. So I like Singapore Airline pretty much, but their calendar year the end of the March 31, okay? And Walmart is the biggest shopping store in the United States, okay? But Walmart is the leading brand in the United States. They claim you just have one stop, you can go anywhere, get everything you want. Because Walmart, they sell so many different items. Then also Walmart say they always providing the lowest price. If you can get any higher price, they will pay you the difference. Okay, Walmart 在美国是非常有名的，各种东西，你只要去什么都可以买到。他也说，如果他们是永远都是最低价格，如果你找到不同的价格，差价他可以付给你。所以这是他们的，他们的 slogan for the business Walmart. Okay, but Walmart is not so happy in the mainland China. Why? They don't know the culture of Chinese. Okay, for example, Walmart think they are so leading and actually should be the #1 in the world. But in China, like the very north of China is very cold, like currently winter is very cold, and the people actually, they have a very good, equipment for the heater. So Walmart even sell the comforter, very heavy comforter, 厚的棉被 in north area, okay, in China. So nobody will buy those very heavy the comforter beds. 你懂我意思吗? And actually Chinese like to buy rice, not with whatever the amount or the brand they want. They just pick up the scoop, then put in the bag and take it away. But for lots of Western country, they prefer to sell rice within the pack. 那米都是用包的，但是大陆人喜欢自己去。
没有，他们现在也是有分，就价格不一样，就有那种一区都是米，然后你自己挖，然后种，还有那种一整袋，它是有大袋。
一整袋 depends on be imported rice. Okay, for the local domestic rice, they just leave the whole pile, then let you pick the. But that's the way. Once you have to get into a different country, you cannot use your local domestic concept to run the business. So that's why Walmart is not a successful example in mainland China. Okay, but they are still leading in most of the other countries. Okay, and Target and Macy's, they are all Macy's is a high-level department store. Okay, and Target and Walmart are very close to each other. But anyway, they also count on their business. We say that seasonal variation. 季节的变化，每个 business is different. So they using the January 1st, 31 as their fiscal year starting date, okay? The ending date, and starting from February 1st will be the start of their fiscal year. 2月1号开始变成他们的财务年度。So you have to keep in mind, not every company are using the calendar year as their fiscal year. It may be different. It may be different, okay? Basically, starting from the lowest point to the highest point. Okay, that's how they run for the fiscal year. Okay, now here is an important concept of the accrual basis versus cash basis. Okay, accrual basis we call that 应计制，好，但是你们还是要记得权责。虽然应计比较能够理解哈，权责实在不懂哈。我的中文有时候常常乱说一通，我的英文也没有很好，可是我中文也不好，我也不知道到底怎么办，我中文实在不太好。我先生常笑我这样子，我的说那个成语都常常乱说一通。Okay, anyway, accrual basis. Okay, the key issue for the accrual basis, because we learned that for the several, principle, one of the revenue are recognized when earned. Recognize means you have to record it. Okay, recognize 我们中文叫认列。但是认列可能你也不懂什么叫认列，一个很好的记的方式的 easy way to know this word recognize when they have to be recorded on your book。当他们必须在记录在你的账本上的时候，这就叫做认列，我们认列它。OK， 所以 revenue are recognized. You can say revenue are recorded when earned, as long as is the definition that they 已经赚得了。Okay, 那你就必须要记录。It doesn't matter you received cash or not yet. Okay, same thing for expenses. When they are recorded or recognized, they have to be incurred. 有发生。好，你今天做 whatever you have done for today in order to make the sales. Key issue, you do this because you need to make the sales. 你为了一些目的要去赚这个销货。Then you have to spend out some money. We call that expense. And it doesn't matter whether it's in cash or not, as long as it happened. Okay, this is for accrual basis. But usually, before you learn accounting, you are so get used to. You just feel it's so natural because we have used cash in, cash out. Okay, but that's not a way. And I can give you example later, so you will know cash basis is not real. Can reflect the truth, okay? So, and actually the more important thing is I have the words here, only tax. Tax is cash basis. For example, it's getting close to the end of the year. Then we're going to, some business will give the bonus, okay? So sometimes then when they can, when the company issue or when the employee they receive the bonus is kind of when you receive it. So it's a cash basis. That's only for tax purpose. When you are filing tax, whatever you have received, whatever you have paid out, it doesn't matter the truth. It's kind of the cash when you receive, when you pay out. 报税完全就是现金制 ，OK? But cash basis is not GAAP. It's not acceptable, but that's why all the corporation or the business, they have to follow the GAAP. GAAP is what? Generally accepted accounting principle. 一般公认会计原则 the requirement is for accrual basis. So all the business actually in the world, everyone is adopting accrual basis. 所有的世界企业都是用应计制的基础。Okay, we'll take a break and let some students, if they're waiting outside, to get in. Okay, let's take a break. 应计制就是因为我们有一个调整的过程，才去 recognize revenue or recognize the expense incurred. We have several examples here that you will get more feeling about what does that mean for accrual basis. For example, here. Fast Forward paid $2,400 for 24 months insurance policy beginning December 1, 2021. Okay, we are now doing the adjusting entry, but I still try to help you starting from the regular entry. 好，我们还是从最原始的分录开始做复习，因为 some of you probably still not get feeling of what the entry means. 好，不知道什么叫做分录，那我们还是从最早的复习开始。So doing entry correctly is very important. If you don't know how to do the entry, nothing gonna happen because you don't have correct record on your book. Since you do not have correct answer, the number on the book, then you cannot make correct financial statement. So accounting it's not really difficult, but once you are so careless person, 你是一个不小心人 you made an error, and the error will continue for the endless mistakes. So every process, every step should be very careful. Okay, so here we have starting from December 1st, okay, and pay $2,400 for insurance policy. Okay, it means for the coming 24 months, you have the right to claim if there's something wrong, to claim the insurance coverage. Okay, you have coverage for insurance for 24 months. So you pay out, definitely you know how to express. You pay out something, cash is the asset, should go to debit. 现金是资产，所以在借方，但是你要花掉它 ，you move to credit， 就把它变成贷方。Okay, then what you put here? Then the important thing you need to know this is your right for the coming 24 months for prepaid insurance. I should move a little bit. This is on the first day of the December, okay? Then we have to move into adjusting entry. So you should figure out that 24 months, $2,400 should be divided by 24 months. So each month should be equally to $100 for, when the time passes, okay? So here's the calendar. So starting from December 1st, the 2021, you'll go to 2022 for the 12 months. It's still under the coverage of the whole 24 months. Then still moving to 2023 till November. Okay, that's the end of the right. So, but don't forget, you need to make monthly report normally for every company. 每一家公司都会要你做月报表，每个月的财务报表。Then you should know for each month the real happening for insurance is how much. I just mentioned you can divide it by equally for 24 months. You're right. For each month, the expense will incur for $100. So starting from January 2022. January, the end. Okay, 2022, January, the end. You've been running out all the right. Okay, so how do you know you have been running out the right? So whenever you have to do the entry, you need to do the posting. 每一次做分录都必须过账 to the individual account, 它各自的 account. So here you have a prepaid insurance. Then you pay out cash. So you have when you post into here the balance for here. So this is 2021 December 31st. This is the balance for here. Okay, then you can ignore the cash here. Okay, anyway. So going to the end month of the last day for the first month. Since you need to prepare the financial report for January, so you need to deduct your right for $100 because your balance supposedly only has the $2,300. Okay, so how do you know that? You know, once you're running out the insurance has to be incurred, even though you didn't have any accident or not good things. 即便没有任何事发生 but you still using out your right for prepaid insurance. So here, then we should write off the prepaid insurance for $100. So once you have done this entry, we call this is the adjusting entry. Remember this word, 调整分录 adjusting entry. So adjusting entry will only happen on the last day of the accounting period. 调整分录的日期永远是那个期间的最后一天 always the last day. So they might be 4, 5 more adjusting entry. 可能你那天调整好几个，那的 they all have to be the same date. Okay? So after you have doing the adjusting entry, you need to do the posting again. So here you will see you have another insurance expense. Here, since we are doing the homework in class illustration, okay, actually the system has already created account already. 在公司的会计的制度里面，它每一个会计科目老早就放在那边了。那因为我们在上课的关系，我们必须每一次就去开一个新的账户。Actually, these accounts are already available within your accounting information system. Okay, so whenever you completed an entry, they will do the posting directly. Go to the direct place. Okay, so here you have insurance expense. So we have expense here, and we have the debit, the credit here. Moving to here. So after the end of the adjusting entry, your balance going from 2,400 to 2,300. So it's decreasing. Your right is decreasing. Okay? So that's why prepaid is your asset. As long as you hold the right, then they should belong to the assets. Okay? 这就是 adjusting. This is what we are doing for adjusting. We move the current balance after the adjusted, then you go to the updated one. You have to always updating the balance for whatever the account. Okay, then it's the adjusting. 好，调整分录的目的呢，就是因为平常 then you probably will ask, you say 2,400 for 24 months. Okay, 100. Why don't you divide your $100 with 31 days? Will you do that? We normally will do that by daily basis. Okay, so the adjusting base entry based on when are you going to prepay your financial statements. If you prepay your financial statement once a year, then the adjusting entry will be dated on December 31. Okay, 调整分录看你是编月报表、半年报表、季报表还是年报表。如果你一年只编一次报表的话，那你调整他们只要多 once. If you are doing the annual report only, then the adjusting entry will be done just once by the end of the December. Then if you are doing monthly report, then your adjusting has to be done at the end of the day of each month. 每个月的最后一天就还是调整一次。In order to what? In order to update your financial statement. In order to make the correct number for your financial statement. That's the purpose for adjusting entries. Okay? So here, on the accrual basis, 100 insurance expense is recognized in 2021, and for total $1,200, and the rest there are 11 months to 2023. Okay, let me ask the student here, if we are doing making the monthly financial statement, 如果我们是做月报表， can someone tell me how many times you need to do the adjusting entry for prepaid insurance for year 2022? 我的问题是，如果我们是做月报表的基础的话，那2022年你要做几次调整这个预付这个保险费？ For year 2022, if we are making monthly financial statement, then how many times you have to do for the adjusting entry for prepaid insurance? Understand, get my question?
12.
Okay, Lisa, how many times?
12.
12? Yeah, that's easy. See? Did you all get the answer of 12? 做12次啊，因为12个月嘛，12个月吧，that's easy, right? Good. Alright, so why we need to do that? Because for accounting, since we are using the accrual basis, so we have a principle called, on your textbook, we call that expense principle. But most of the other textbook, we prefer to use matching principle. Okay, matching principle Chinese 配合，如果 expense principle 是费用原则，不管是配合原则或费用原则，它们都是一样的意思。Okay, so when incurred 当发生了，好，或者 being used 被用完了 ，then 原本的认列的数字就会变成费用。OK， 啊，你就会慢慢把你的权利，就好像是normally if you pay by cash monthly for monthly rent, then you normally will say debit rent expense credit cash, right? If you are using the cash to pay month by month. 好，那我们像我们的租金费用，如果你每个月付一次现金的话，那你每个月1000块的话，你 for example, then you have to put on your rent expense with cash every month for $1,000, for example. But that's not the case. But not the case. Okay? The case is here. For sometimes you are required to put a lump sum money for just once. Then regularly, then you can enjoy your right. 所以你每个月付了这么多钱，假设你付 for example, you paid $10,000 for 5 months when you are staying in your dormitory. 你预先付了1万块钱的租金， then 每个月 every month, actually you are incurred, 10,000 divided by 5. Every month you incur 2,000 rent expense. OK, 那就是你月付1万块的租金，那每个月呢，你的权利减少1个月，那权利减少到哪里去了？就变成你的租金费用。They go to rent expense. Okay, so this is what we're doing for this example. Okay, what about if you're adopting the cash basis? Then that cannot match because I just mentioned you should know why we need to, recognize the whatever the prepaid item goes to the expense because every month you are running your business, you are creating your revenue. Okay, so in order to make revenue, what kind of expense cash out you have to incur? So we say that matching principle usually means match revenue with the expenses. So that's why we say matching principle. As long as you create revenue, or we call that sales. As long as you create revenue, or as long as you create sales, then definitely you need to recognize the relevant expenses during that period. 就是只要你有创造出收入 ，OK 或者销货，好，那你就必须认列出在那段期间你相关的费用。For example, I'm running business. I might have incurred insurance expense. I might incur rent expense. I might incur salary expense. I might incur utility expense. Something like that. 你为了要做生意，你可能要租金费用，你要薪资费用，你要水电费费用，那你就必须 recognize whatever the relevant expenses here. Okay, that's why matching principle is make more sense. But if you are using the the cash basis, then you will not be balanced and will be biased. 会有错失 because if you are using the cash basis, the first day you pay for $2,400, then that will be like this. The insurance expense, this amount, and the cash, this amount. So you put the whole money for the expense instead of the prepaid item. So you will see very unbalanced because for this month you have such a huge amount for insurance expense, but for the later on 23 months, every month the insurance expense is zero because you put all the money here. That's not balance. That's not balance. Okay, so I give you another example for my apartment. Okay, my apartment, all the people living there are required to pay the management fee, 就管理费用 every 3 months you have to pay once. Okay, so I used to be their consultant for the whole community, their financial report, and which drove me very scary. Because why? Because I found people, for example, January, February, March, something. And I found certain months, they have finally, what is income statement? You have some revenue, then you have several expenses. And for the revenue, is all the people living there, they have to pay the management fee. Okay, 所以呢，在这个时候，你每3月付一次的时候 some after you have the income cash in, then you have cash out. Some months might have the positive number, and several months they have a negative number. Why? Because before I check on their financial statement, they are using the cash basis. 在我还没有做这个我们这个社区的财务管理委员会里面的时候，我会吓一跳，因为我们有几个月全是负制。哇，我们觉得我们的社区怎么可能会负制？那以后我们要增加多少管理费？后来 after I checked the details, because they are using cash basis, so that's why it makes some months have positive, and most of the months have the negative net income. That doesn't make any sense. So after my suggestion, they move back to accrual basis. They move to accrual basis. That makes sense more, than cash basis. So, and of course, cash basis is not allowed for all the business, okay, unless it's on tax purpose. 除非你是报税，你可以用现金制，其他的通通不可以。Okay. The reason why, because they squeeze all the money in one time. Then they didn't spread over for the whole, period. 没有把它的那个权益把它分开出来。So that's the difference between accrual basis and cash basis. Any questions? 这样懂吗，月玲？应计制和现金制的差别，可以吗？要跟上来哦。那个谁在不在这里啊？黄建伟有来吗？ Always absent. Okay. For example, Huang Jianwei, even though he had a really bad score, but I'm not giving her extra point because he never showed up. That's the example. Okay. All right. Then we're moving on how to recognize the revenue or the expenses. Okay. We call the revenue recognition principle requires that revenue be recorded when goods 就是货品哈 you have to put s, okay? If you don't put s, that's an adjective good, okay? 货品就要加 s goods. When goods or services or products, okay, are provided to customer, which means you deliver the things to your customer side, and at an amount expected to be received from the customer. Well, why I put an underline for expected? For example, when you sell something to somebody, you deliver the goods or product to the customer side, then you will bill them. 你会开账单给他们。When they receive your bill, you will expect they are going to pay the money back to you. Okay, that's something for your side. So that's for short term. Normally, the billing period can be 3 days or 5 days, a week, or no more than 1 month. But another example I mentioned in my chapter 1, and I asked all your answers. What about sometime and you bought a very luxury car from the imported car and it will cost a lot. And actually for the imported car, normally the customer behavior, they put a certain percentage for the deposit, the installment, okay, for the down payment. 会头期款付，比如你买 ，for example, you buy a car, which costs $2 million, 200万的汽车。Then you are willing to pay like $500,000 for the down payment. 第一个付50万 ，and for the rest of $1.5 million, you have to do that, the installment way, 就分期付款。In that case, are you going to, if you're the car dealer, are you going to recognize the revenue? Okay, even though the installment can be like 36 months. 3 years， 你去买个汽车，你付了50万，然后剩下150万，你让你的顾客用3年期间来还，那这个时候这笔交易要不要 be recognized? When you say recognize, I say it again. Are you going to record it on your book, saying that we have revenue for a car for the total amount $2 million? Will you do that? Plumo, right? Plumo, you are the car dealer. You sold a car which costs $2 million, but your customer only pay you for the down payment for $500,000, and the rest of $1.5 million you allow them to do by the installment, pay spread to 36 months. So by the end of the day, when you sold the car, are you going to recognize this deal, this transaction as a revenue or not?
No.
No? Why?
Because I haven't received the full amount for it.
You haven't received the total money. Okay, how about Lisa? Are you going to recognize?
Maybe revenue unearned or something?
Yes. Are you going to revenue the total car price, $2 million as today's revenue? But you only receive cash for $500,000.
I don't know, revenue unearned, I will write to
They have the right to drive the car, right away after you transfer title to them. They have the right to own the car. Okay. Zhi, so are you going to recognize revenue at the day? Yes. Okay. How about one more people? How about Geng Jiajun? Are you going to recognize the transaction for $2 million for that day?
Yeah,
Yes. Why?
because he's gonna pay after it,
Mm-hmm.
so I will do it.
Yeah. The reason here, you expect you will receive. An amount expected to be received. Even no one can guarantee. Just like everyone feel so comfortable. I think everyone here who does not have a credit card. Who does not have a credit card? 在这边同学没有信用卡，请举手。Who does not have a credit card? Which means most of the students here, you do have a credit card. So when you use your credit card shopping, okay, then you buy whatever you want from the department store, use a credit card, okay? Then maybe next month you have default. I mean, you didn't have enough money to pay your credit card bill. And what about that? The department store will go for you, or the credit card company will go for you. The sales is done. Who do you think will go for you to ask for the money since you default the bill？ 你没有办法偿还这钱。你在百货公司用信用卡付钱，然后呢，下个月的时候呢，你还不起钱，账单来你还不起，请问你的冤家债主是谁？谁要来跟你要钱？是 department store 还是 credit card company？
Credit card company.
Yes, yes, same thing. If you are buying the car from the car dealer, then you all agree that will be done by the rest of money using the instrument 分期付款. Then the relationship, the risk that your instrument company, the bank, whatever, they take the risk because sales is done, is done. Okay, so that's why whenever there's a car, loan, 汽车贷款, then the car dealer has to do something with the bank. They have a deal in case the customer did not pay back. Then, but that's not relationship with the customer and the car dealer. Okay, so in that case, we will, since the title of the car has already passed to the customer, so they have the right to own the car. So that's why the sale is done. So for that day, you have the car dealer, they will say, okay, we have a deal and we have a revenue coming, actually being incurred for that day. Okay, so it's based on whether the right has been transferred, 你的权益是不是 transferred to the other part, or whether, for the example here, when goods or service are provided, which means the obligation of the seller is done. 好，卖方的义务已经尽完了 and the right, your customer, they have the right for the goods, and your customer has been already rendered with the service. Okay, 你也提供他服务 so it's done. So you can recognize the revenue. Remember the principle, whenever they are earned, 你赚得的时候，它就是你的收入。Okay, all right. What does that mean, earned? Earned means you either transfer title or you complete fulfill your obligation. 你完成了你的义务，或是你把权益转给他们了，这些都叫做 earned. Okay, which means you earned. Okay. All right. So in order during what is matching principle again? Matching principle means when you make some revenue for a certain period, during that time, how many items have been incurred in order to generate the revenue? 你为了要赚到这些钱，你必须 pay off 什么事情的花的资 cash out 什么东西 we call that expense. So that's why it's the matching principle. So whenever we are saying matching principle, it's always saying that you match revenue or with expense, or you match expense with revenue. Only these two items, we call that matching principle. Okay, so revenue recognition requires, actually here should be the expense recognition, I think this mistake here. Expense recognition principle requires expenses be recorded in the same accounting, how come I only keep typing error? Accounting period of the revenue that are recognized. So here the example, the listing for several expense items like rent, gasoline, advertising, salaries, utility, and so on, and more here. So now that we have recognized that the revenue, let's see what expenses we incur to, this is a good word, generate. To generate that revenue. In order to generate the revenue, what kind of items expense will have been incurred? Okay, 所以这就是我们的配合原则。Now we are doing real things, the steps. How do you know how to do the adjusting entry? Adjusting entry, normally there are 3 steps. The first one, you have to determine what is the current account balance. For example here, oops, I just erased that. So here, we prepay, this the detail for this account. prepaid insurance. So you have the posting, the balance here. So before you are doing the adjusting, this is the current balance, okay? And step 2, determine what the current account balance should equal, okay? So after the first month, the end of the first month, you've been running one month right, 已经用掉了1个月的权利，但目前你所拥有的权利 supposedly it should be. So this is the one should be. This is the before you do the adjust the current balance. This is current and this is supposed to be the balance. How are you going to make 2,400 to 2,300? Definitely you need to adjust 100 from the credit side. So step 3, record an adjusting entry. If you do not do the adjusting entry, then they will not post to here. Okay, so definitely you need the adjusting entry after the posting, then you have the updated balance here. Okay, so the adjusting entry is very important. So here's something need to remind you. The end, okay? Each adjusting entry made at the end of an accounting period. 注意啊，所有的调整只会在期末的最后一天 the last day. So for all the entry you have to put on the date. They are always the last day of the accounting period. Then reflects a transaction or event that is not yet recorded. Okay, and this anyway. But the rest of if I put a purple color, is that purple color? Yes. Every time if I color with the purple, which means it's the most important thing. Okay. So here, most important thing here, an adjusting entry affects one or more income statement account. What does that mean? What is income statement account? You still remember what we have 4 statements for financial statement. There are 4 statements. The first one, we say income statement or comprehensive income statement. So what is income statement? This is the company. It shows how much revenue, how many revenue or how many expenses here. Then you have some net income. This is the income statement. So income statement like to know your performance for each period. Your performance. Performance means how good or how bad you've been running your business. 所谓的损益表就是看你每个段期间你的表现好不好。所以 we only focus on 2 major parts. One is the revenue, another one is the expense. Okay. So move back to the outside here. Okay. So when you are doing the adjusting entry, will affect 影响 one or more income statement account. 所以我们用这个例子来看一下。We use this example here. This is a adjusting entry. So this one, insurance expense, belongs to income statement. If I want to move to here, insurance expense. Okay? So one go to the income statement. Another one and one or more balance sheet account. What is balance sheet? Balance sheet means 资产负债表. Okay, if you are using the balance sheet here, then you will see what the asset item, the liability items, or the equity item here. Okay, so here you have a prepaid insurance. Okay, so this one goes to here. Prepaid is an asset. So every adjusting entry, no exception. No matter debit or no matter credit, one goes to the income statement and another one definitely will go to the balance sheet. Okay. You will never see any cash within it as long as they are adjusting entry. 好，in Chinese， 我们在做调整分录的时候，你永远不会在调整分录里面，这叫调整分录哈，看到现金科目，因为如果是现金科目，在平常日就已经做完了。OK， 那之所以要调整，就是有些事情平常没有发生的，我们就把它做一个调整。所以注意，调整分目一个很重要的原则，它不会出现现金科目。然后还很重要的是，调整分目，不管它左一右一或左二右三或左三右二都没有关系。总而言之，一定会有一些是属于损益表科目，然后另外一些是属于那个资产负债表科目。这个原则很重要，一定会被考出来。OK， 因为你才知道你在做哪一天你做调整分录，你既然用了现金，那表示你就做错了。OK，so this is a very important rule here. Once again, all the adjusting entry has to be done at the end of an accounting period. Okay. Another point is, no matter how many items for adjusting entry for debit or credit, then certain parts will go to income statement. They are income statement account, and the others, the rest of them, should go to the balance sheet account. Okay. If you then keep in mind, then we'll prove that in the later examples. Okay, then we're not going to skip this one. Okay, there are 4 major categories that you need to do the adjusting entries. Okay, very important. We are doing the adjustments 调整 adjusting account 是调整科目 adjusting entry 是调整分录 different. Sometimes you pay or you receive the money before expense or revenue recognized. For example, prepaid expense. Okay, prepaid. You pay the money before you receive your rights. Okay, in that case for here, you pay the insurance in advance. 先前就把钱付了。OK， 像这种的话，或者是我收了一笔钱，sometimes people will pay you, 3 months or order something from you. They say, okay, I'll pay you $1,000. Can you help to provide service next week? 他可不可以说先付你笔钱，那你下礼拜或下个月他才做这件事情？这叫做什么？你事先收到钱，但是你还没有做工 ，OK， 那叫 unearned. So for these categories, I forgot to bring the point pen. Okay, before you can either prepay something, we call that prepaid expense, or you receive cash in before. Okay, 你先收到钱 we call that unearned revenue. But some other textbook, they using deferred instead of prepaid or unearned. Same thing. Okay, you can see you have some deferred expense. You pay some deferred expense, or you receive some deferred revenue. Both are right. Okay, but for this book, and actually most of the book, they using the prepaid or unearned. 所以呢，你先收到一笔钱，但是呢，你可能享有权利，或者呢，之后你要尽义务。那这些东西随着时间的过去 ，when the time passed, okay, then they will gradually recognize, become a either expense or revenue. 你付了一笔钱，然后你慢慢用掉，每次你用掉的东西，它就是变成你的费用，或者你收到一笔钱。然后呢，当你慢慢尽到你义务完成之后，它就变成你的收入 revenue. Okay, so this is even though 2 major category, but subjects go to further another two category, prepaid and earn. OK， 所以这种就是属于 this kind of adjustment. Or another category, pay or receive cash after expense recognized. 你是不是有常碰到说，收到账单，你家里收到水电费账单，那当你收到 when you receive your utility bill, have you enjoyed the time using whatever the water, whatever the electricity already? 你收到账单的时候，你是不是已经用完了水电都已经用完了 ？So 那个东西是不是已经 incurred？ 可是你现在才收到 ，so you pay or you receive cash after recognize expense recognize. 那你会说 why don't you recognize before? Because I don't know how much the the electricity or water I will spend. 我并不知道我水电会用掉多少啊。所以当他们发生了，我才收到账单啊。所以是不是当我收到账单时，我就必须 recognize on my book， 好，就必须记在我的账单上。所以这是 another 东西 ，you can accrue 的应收费用或应付相关的应收收入或应付费用等等哈。So we have actually you can say 4 different kinds of the things that need to make some adjustment, need to make a sum. So later on, we're going to have more example for the details for these 4 categories. Okay, it's about time to have the time off. 我们必须现在点个名 ，before I still remember. 点一下名好，因为我们现在还有online学生。To go to the prepaid or we call that deferred expense, 预付或者递延费用 Okay, so it means that resource pay in advance. Prepay means you pay something before or you pay something in advance of receiving the actual benefit. 你还没有收到的东西，但是有事先收到一些好处，但是之后你的好处就会越来越减少。We should not see the T account first, otherwise you will get confused. We should see the example first. So like example, the step 1, prepaid insurance is about $2,400. This is exactly the same example we just did. I think we should do this faster. So step 2, with the passage of time. It can be the passage of time. It can be the running of the goods. 把东西越用越少，也是一个 prepaid 的概念。等一下我们会有一个 supply 的概念就是用品的概念。So either the passage of time or the usage of some goods 随着你使用商品 the benefit will gradually expire 渐渐的就到期了it gradually not just happen one time will be happen gradually and a portion of prepaid insurance asset become whenever it's running out or whenever the right is being used then they become expense for example here $2,400 divided by 24 months那你 every month can be 100 so 1 month's insurance coverage expire by December 31st 一个月后一个月的保险费的它所可以应付的期间就到期了所以 this expense 100 then the balance goes to $2,300 should be the balance to $2,300 就是第二个步骤一个是 current step 1 step 2 we see the number which is supposed to be should be then the difference the gap you need to make adjustment 差别就把它做调整费用 and this one we have example we have already done here but again what is you should know what is the I think I made it wrong what is the December 1st entry the original entry we have paid here the original here December 1st one is prepaid total number 2,400 pay out cash 2,400 this is the original entry and after 1 month and then you move to the adjusting entry here. Debit insurance expense and the credit prepaid insurance. Okay, then once you do that, then the entry will posting to each individual account. So for the prepaid insurance, you move to 2,400 after the posting. This after the posting credit to credit. So the balance goes to $2,300. That's the adjusting entry. Then let's go to some other. So this is some good words. Okay, this is before, after adjustment. You have the after balance. Okay, if you do not do the adjustment here, just I think it's for Chinese concept should be okay, but we use in English. You have to think about that. Okay, if you do not or forget to do the adjusting entry, what will happen? Okay, not making the adjustment would understate expense for December 2021, which for income statement, and which will cost what? Let's see here. If you forgot or for any reason you do not make adjusting entry, if you do the adjusting entry, there will be a insurance expense here, which means, for example, we have 1,000 revenue, deduct 100, then the net income will become 900. Okay, so if you do not do that, your expense will understate. Understate means that 低估. Your expense, if you do not do this, your expense will understate, and which will cause your net income overstate. Okay, I didn't follow. You can continue to write it down. Okay, if you do not do the adjusting entry, forgot to put an income insurance expense here for income statement purpose. Okay, then your expense will be understate. 你没有写这个保险费用，你的费用率就会低估，因为你没有写费用率低估，最后的本期净利 net income 就会高估。OK， 请继续写。OK， for December 2021 income statement, the net income will be overstated. 知道这意思吗？在你后面的这句话里面继续写 ，net income will be overstated. 好，本期净利就会高估。好，so that's why, writing the right things is very important for accounting. You miss one point and you miss everything. OK， 就是有一个关节错了，全部就错。OK，this is one part for insurance impact. 这个会影响到。那 another here is if you forgot or for any reason did not do the adjusting, which means the balance here originally should be 24, and after you do the adjusting, then it should become 23, which means if you forgot to do that, your asset for your balance sheet you will be overstated. 知道意思吗？意思说你的资产，如果你这个分录忘了做借方，又忘了做贷方，所以原本应该是2300的预付保险费，结果因为你忘记过账，然后所以你忘记做了，所以你还是维持你原本的2400的金额，所以这叫做高估。OK, here, so your prepaid or your assets will be overstated. 好，高估这个意思。所以 我们 several exam, even for professional exam, 好，很多专业考试，他说 if you don't do this, what's the effect will be? 好，你会产生什么样的影响 ？Okay, like this. If you do not do, some like this, this adjustment, then what effect will be? What kind of effect will be? Then you will understate your expense. You will overstate your balance sheet. Okay, so here is the effect 效果。Okay, another thing I just mentioned for prepaid insurance is because with the passage of time, 因为你过了时间 your right 你的权利 decrease gradually， 你的权利越变越少，所以我们用这个 adjustment 就可以让这2400越变越少。But another thing is supplies. The things you normally for the company, you will buy the supplies for a lump sum for as long if you can buy more, your supplier can offer you more credit. 你买越多，他们就给你越多的折扣。So that's why lots of companies are willing to buy. Of course, some company will make some questionnaire what kind of item you need, and will buy a lump sum for everything. Then they can be a cheaper price. Okay, that's what we call supply. Okay, or you can call that office supply. 办公用品盘存。我用的这个用品盘存是在高职喜欢用的名词。OK， 用品盘存。可是呢，在大学的中文版里面会喜欢把它用成文具用品，whatever 用品盘存，或者是这个文具用品，它都指的是 assets， they are assets supply. You buy lump sum, whatever the things like the pens or the paper or the toners, whatever, all the things in order to support your office usage, OK？ 那他们就 supply， 这里的 supply 不是叫供应什么东西而且通常是复数 ，OK？Supplies 它是用品盘存或者是文具用品 ，OK？Supplies are a prepaid expense also。OK， 它也是一个这个概念。事前买了一笔东西 ，you buy lump sum of supplies. Later on, with the usage, then the value decrease. 用的话，它的价值越变越低。So step one, let's see the example here. Fast forward, purchase 9,720 of supplies in December. Okay, and some of them used during this month must be recognized when prepare financial statement at December 31. 意思说，这家公司一开始在12月的时候买了这一笔9720的文具用品 ，OK？ 那随着有些人去领东西、领文具就用掉了 ，OK？ 所以那问题现在又来 again， you need to prepare the financial statement at the end of the month, OK? Then step 2, what is supposed to be? Okay, should be. Okay, so how do you know 9720, the number of how much should be? Of course, you do the what? 盘点这个英文叫什么 ？You do the physical count. 这个是单字，你可以学一下。盘点，你要盘，不管是 inventory 存货或者很多东西 ，normally after a period of time. People like to know what's the real value, what's the real number of some certain items. So we do that physical count. So normally physical count will happen, of course, again at the end of the period. So for the $9,720, okay, the company do the physical count again. Then they found out the total value is 8670. 8670, okay? So which means the gap, the difference, $1,000 and $50, the difference is being used. Once they are used, they are expense. 它们只要被用掉，它们就变成了费用 ，okay? Then which means we starting from the first day, for example, it happens on December 5th. They purchased a lump sum supplies. Since it's here, of course, it's an asset, and they pay out with cash. So you have the original entry, 971. Okay, this is the original one. Everyone, please, even though we are in chapter 3, you still need to know the original, the regular entry. If you don't have this one, you jump to the adjusting entries that will make you very confused. OK， 我们这一章还是会帮你复习你在第一、第二章最原始的分录。OK， 请please write down this original entry on your whatever the book or the your PPT. OK， so this is the original one. So after this, we're doing the posting to the supplies. So supplies, after the posting, the balance will be on the debit, okay? Then you can ignore the cash. It doesn't matter because we are focusing on the supplies. So after you do the physical count 盘点, you found the total value is 8670. So you need to make adjustment here in order to write off the number of the debit. 一定是要做一些事情在这边做 adjusting. Then the should be the balance is here. Okay, so we have the adjusting entry. The first one, of course, you should know is you reduce the supplies of 1050 here. Then what would you put here? What would you put here? It's an expense. So easily we say that supplies expense. 文具用品费用，中文叫做用品盘存，可是当它被用掉的时候，中文就叫文具用品费用。Okay, same amount. So once you do at the end of the day, December 31, always adjusting entry, always the last day of the period. Okay, so once you have finished the entry, you do the posting again. So you post here 1050. Then they will go to the correct balance, the amount of your number when you finish your physical count. 正好调整完就正好表示 which means 1050 the number, the value of the supply has been used, by the employee. So this is the adjusting. This is the adjusting. So for book, the similar thing again. You have the entry here, and once you posting, then this is something very important. So whatever left over here is something still in your stock， 还是在你的那个管理那个存库室里面 unused， 好吗？他们还没有被用的金额就是 unused, which is $8,670. Okay, unused. Okay, unused. So we have a new account here. Be careful, always new vocabularies. Okay, now you learn the supplies, 叫做用品盘存或是文具用品。Whenever they are used, we put a more words, expense, supplies. Expense, supplies, expense here. Okay. All right. Go further. We have other things. For example, we have a prepaid. 帮我想预付什么 ？Prepaid subscription. 买订杂志。Okay. Prepaid subscription. Normally we order the magazine. They require you to pull. You want to order 24 months, 60 months. The more you order, the more discount you will receive. Okay, so you can say we have prepaid magazine or prepaid some subscription. 就是预付的一些杂志费用。Once you receive the magazine, then the magazine goes to the magazine expense， 就变成了费用。Then your prepaid magazine will be reduced. Okay， 就再来 example 好了。来，我请同学来做。My question is, listen carefully. Your company just subscribe a professional magazine, 专业杂志 which will cost $1,000 per month. So since the price only for, if you can supply for 2 years. So on December 5th, you prescribe a 24 months professional magazine and you pay the money totally $24,000 because 1,000 for 1 month. 听懂了吗？在12月5号，你先买了一个帮公司买了专业杂志，然后是22个月， 2年期间，总共你支付了24000，然后可以 ，Who wants to tell me the original entry for the first day you pay？ 啊，你第一天付的钱，你花了多少钱？ Then later on, another student, after you receive the magazine， 好，你收到第一本杂志的时候 ，then what kind of adjusting you need to do? Okay, so here is the question: the subscription. This is the original question. I want to ask. 我们刚才那个廖佳莹有在吗？廖佳莹 ，Can you write the first day of the original purchase of the magazine？ 那廖佳莹的同学是刘思雨嘛？You do the adjusting entry, OK？ 其他人也 try it, please. I won't ask you whether they are doing right or not. Can we come over for the first one? 你花了24000买2年的杂志，订了2年杂志，请问这一天要怎么说？啊，另外一个同学是已经收到1个月的杂志，收到1份杂志，那时候那个月的调整要怎么做？可以上来了吗？可以吗？廖佳莹，对吗？哈，来，快，我们这个差不多快要下课了，解救大家，早点下课。
感觉差很多。
你很像素颜，
对吗？跟拿下来又不一样。
拿下来就很像化妆。
可以吗？来啊，过来啊！
这样是很贴切。15小时。这是个开头。这是今天吗？
这边。
应该这样。
我们就写 prepaid 的哈，预付 prepaid magazine。
你看过的。我自己预习。没有，就刚刚上课。我都讲先写没看过的单词，用单词来抽那个页数，然后在第2面就是写今天上课的重点，比如说他写的表情，或者是他的 step。
你就把 PPT 抄就好。
对，因为它有一些是重点，PPT 的这个，你就可以把重点直接抄进去，用 step 1、step 2、step 3，然后再配合一些它的计算公式跟尬起来就可以。这是很小。
太远了啦，那个magazine上。
然后我觉得我每次都写2面，一个是
那
那个一个是那个东西或者
那你来告诉我，
你给我比较好冲进去。
OK。
对。
我这边写了一些公式就好。
可以啊，反正你把写嘛，你可以写。
好的。
然后后面就写那个便宜，然后我有建议。
过章会不会过？
看。
还有一个 T 字章。
因为我写抄袭。
T 字章就写 prepaid 的。
OK。
我拿过去。
可是至少，这样子 T 字章写。然后上面就是他的会计课。Exam magazine 吗？
Exam magazine。
然后接方接在房贷，数字，左接右贷。OK， 来刘思雨，就是不用吗？就只有这样子啊，就是要借账、过账。来 ，adjusting， survey sensing， right over here。 利减少什么钱？120，24000除24啊，100啊。贷啊。你把东西用掉，怎么样表达？你把这个东西用掉，那个钱你把它用掉，你要放在哪里？用掉，减少100%，直接变债嘛，减少100啊，所以不就是会配的吗？
那那个数你要抓，你要让你比对讲。
哪有钱？
讲
这边100，我要钱。
老师是1000。
然后哦，那你这边就错了。3位撇，然后过账，过到这边100块，然后他的余额是多少？当然是这样写啊，小姐，然后左减右。I just gave you the question, everyone. For last few minutes. The first day you purchase, you order the magazine, so you have prepaid item, okay, which you have the rights for 24 months, and the total cash payout go to credit. Okay, after you receive one magazine, okay, 24,000 divided by 24 months. Each magazine will cost $1,000. Okay, so once you receive, they become expense. Okay, 所以记住啊，费用永远在借方 ，revenue 在贷方啊，这两个位置一定要放清楚。So magazine expense or debit, and you have to reduce your balance from the debit. How do you do that? 你要让一个借方的科目越变越少 ，you move to credit. We say that offset 就冲销了 offset the balance from debit to credit to 1,000. So once you do the posting, you see you still have 23,000 value the rights for the coming more magazines. So you have which means divided by 1,000, you still have 23 magazines to receive. Okay, so this is adjusting. So everyone get more concept, okay, about adjusting the purpose. If you don't do the adjusting, then you will mess up the whole financial statement. And once again, I want to remind proof again to you. This is adjusting entry, and the magazine expense is a income statement account. 它是属于损益表科目 ，and the prepaid is a balance sheet account. Okay, always, no exception. All the adjusting entry, definitely one will involve with the income statement account. One will get involved with the balance sheet account. Okay. All right. I think that will be all for today. And don't forget, we have a good student volunteer going to share with your midterm experience of the knowledge. I think very important. We do the review. Okay. I cannot promise. I try my best to keep all the time for the rest of Tuesday afternoon. I will do the instruction for practice class by myself. Okay. All right. Then that's it for today. Thank you.